Good evening and welcome back to the Weekend Prime Time. I'm Catherine Rampell, along with Antonia Hilton, Elise Jordan, and Eamon Mohideen. There is a new milestone tonight in the battle over redrawing political maps, and it spells trouble for voters in Tennessee who are fighting to keep their voices heard. State Republicans just redrew the lines in the volunteer state, carving up majority black Memphis into 3 different districts and giving the GOP a massive advantage. Civil rights organizations, including the ACLU and NAACP, have filed lawsuits against those maps, saying they undermine fair representation. NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson said, quote, "This lawsuit goes to the heart of our democracy," adding, quote, "We are at the dawn of a new Jim Crow era." One immediate casualty of this map fight, longtime Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen. He is bowing out after nearly 2 decades in office, accusing state Republicans of essentially colonizing Memphis. Here's Cohen giving an emotional explanation about his decision not to seek re-election. Watch.
I feel bad for my constituents because a lot of them come up to me regularly and say, please, we're for you and don't quit. Don't quit. I've had people tell me, as recently as today, African American and Caucasian, don't quit. And I don't want to quit. I'm not a quitter. But these districts were drawn to beat me. They were drawn to defeat me.
Congressman Steve Cohen joins us now. Congressman, you made this announcement on Friday, and you say that people have been urging you not to quit. So why leave?
Well, the districts were drawn to elect a Republican, and a Republican who would be predominantly have a district that is rural and suburban Asheville, believe it or not. The 2 of the 3 districts they cut my district into go one to the Mississippi-Alabama line and then goes north to Williamson County, which is the most prosperous Republican suburban area of Davidson County, Nashville. And the other goes north along the Mississippi River and then over the Kentucky border, and it comes down also into Williamson County. These are hellacious districts to campaign in, but the thing is they don't represent a commonality of purpose. Districts are supposed to have common purposes, common ideas, be compact. Memphis had a compact district with people, black and white, having the same purposes and needs. Healthcare in Memphis, education for Memphis, workforce development in Memphis, economic opportunity in Memphis. And the blacks and the whites were for that, and they elected me 9 times in re-elects, and I never lost a precinct. So for people to say these were unconstitutional districts, they need to be made up to reflect what Tennessee was reflective of. The House of Representatives is a people's house. It's supposed to represent a section of the country where people live in compact areas, and Memphis is one of them. This was totally done to tear up the black voting base in Memphis, divided into 3 districts, which coincidentally, ironically, were 29% black in one district, 29% black in another, and then I think 31 or 32 within the margin of error in the third one. The odds of that happening are like, the Shakespeare and the typewriter and a monkey. It doesn't work out that way. And they obviously had race in mind to have the districts come out as they did to minimize the black vote, to make the rural and suburban vote, which is Republican, take over the party. It's a comet, that's the head of it, and Memphis and the African-American vote becomes the tail. We had a good district. There was no reason to break it up except for race, and they did it. And it's wrong. They heard one of the most iconic cities in America and the 2nd largest city in Tennessee needs a congressman who does constituent services for all of their people, gets community projects, $17, $10, $20 million a term, and other monies. The largest infrastructure project in the state of Tennessee's history I got 2 years ago to build a bridge across the river, $400 million. Largest infrastructure project in Tennessee's history, because the Republicans couldn't deal with Buttigieg and Biden because they were Democrats and the other 8 folks were Republican. They came to me, the state of Tennessee and the Chamber of Congressmen, can you help us? I helped them. I got it done. They won't have that in the future. They're selling away Tennessee. They're selling away the people of Memphis. They're selling away Memphis and the African-American people. Why? Because they want to reward Donald Trump, who thinks one vote might make the difference between him being impeached or not. The fact he's afraid of being impeached says something about his conduct. And the second thing is it rewards the governor who needs a job and wants Bill Lee to give him a job.
Congressman, you touched on this, but some of your constituents are going to be tied in with whiter, rural, suburban communities that are hundreds of miles away from them. Do you think there is, even a fighting chance of there being representatives elected in those districts who are familiar with Memphis schools, familiar with Memphis roads, small businesses, the community's needs, the police department's history. I mean, you touched on it, just that there is a community there that has shared understanding, shared goals. Do you think there's even a chance that whoever is elected in those districts is going to care about those things going forward?
I know what the Republicans who did the redistricting hope is that all three districts will be Republican. One, the District 5, which is a guy that's under investigation for fraud. District 9, which is a guy they have penciled in who kind of put a little nudge in the district to get his house in it, who has quite a few issues with Memphis where he's tried to control the airport authority and has by legislation. The DA and the police director and crime and schools, they took over the schools. They're colonizing Memphis. So he doesn't have an interest in help. He thinks he's helping by being benevolent. That's horse manure. The fact is, there's a chance for one Democrat, Chaz Molnar, and maybe one Democrat and 9, London Lamar, a state senator, who could win and legislate and have concern for Memphis. But the odds are, no, it's not going to happen. And that's why I didn't run. I love Memphis. I represented Memphis. I fought for Memphis. I lived and breathed Memphis all my life. Elise Jordan can tell you. We were on Chris Hayes' show one time about 30 or 40 years ago, and she said most Mississippi that she seen on television when she was a child. Because I've been around for a long time fighting for Memphis, and I want to keep doing it. And if the courts change this, I'll keep doing it. But if the courts don't do it, it's history.
Well, Congressman, let's talk about your long tenure in Memphis. You know, for 20 years, over 20 years, you've consistently gotten reelected, but you've had some tough battles, and there have been debates with local black clergy, local black power brokers. You have defeated a former mayor of Memphis and came back to you winning at the end of the day. And now you were divided for years, but now you're together on this same goal. Do you think, and you've alleged numerous times that you do not think this is partisan gerrymandering, you think that this is racial gerrymandering. Do you think that you can make that case?
Well, I'm not going to make it, obviously. You say a lawyer who has himself for a client has a fool for a client if they make themselves a lawyer. We've got good lawyers who will make the arguments that they think are good. You know, I think when you look at the numbers, you've got to say it was race was involved. Stacey Abrams told you can't divorce race from party in the South, and you really can't. So many of the white people have gone over to being Republicans, but Ms. MAGA's gone so far right. A lot of Republicans say they're not a member of that party. They're kind of independents, and they distance themselves from the MAGAites. So there's a difference there. But this was done to split up the black vote, to disincentivize the black vote from ever getting involved again in gubernatorial elections, United States Senate elections, any kind of election. They wanted to neuter the black vote from being active, which they've done for years because they got the rights through voting and through the courts. Thurgood Marshall, Board of Education at Topeka. A lot of rights came through the courts. The Voting Rights Act was legislative, but it's been upheld bipartisan. Everett Dirksen, you name it, bipartisan, Republicans supported it. Roberts and Alito have been after this for 40 years. I saw where AOC is filing impeachment against Alito and Thomas. They should be impeached for what they've done over a period of years, but so should John Roberts. He's responsible for the court. I upheld him for years and said, I think John Roberts is going to do the right thing because he says he has a concern for the institutional history of the court, and he wants to see it maintained in a high status. He's given that up because he is a party to everything Alito and Thomas have done. John Roberts has lost any standard to say he's looking out for the good of the court. When they turned over the Voting Rights Act, they knew what it would do. It would take power away from blacks who fought for it, bled for it, died for it. In Schwerner and Cheney and Goodman in Philadelphia, Mississippi, in Medgar Evers and Jackson, in Viola Luso in Alabama, they were murdered and killed because they fought for rights to get the right to vote. And Alito and Roberts wanted to turn that around, turn Dr. King's work and John Lewis's work and turn it into nothingness. And they did it. And it's a crime and it's wrong. My rabbi went to Henry Loeb when Dr. King was killed, and he told Henry Loeb, he said, Henry, there's a higher law than the code. There's a higher law that you must attend to. And he meant what's moral and what's right. And these people don't do it. They're the Jim Crow.
Congressman, let me ask you, with what time we have left, about how do you see the fight going from here? I asked Stacey Abrams what she thinks we should be doing next. How do you try to fight back against what you've described right now?
The only way to win is in the courts right now. I mean, people need to vote, and need to vote in massive numbers, and then voting registration drives. And I think that there'll be that. But the districts are stacked. I think they're Trump plus 20. That's a high margin to overcome. And I don't think it's such that the Democratic Party is even looking at putting people on their top list. It's 15 is the max I think they go out. There's a case being heard in Thursday in state court, in the Chancery Court in Davidson County. Thursday the 21st, maybe we'll win there. If we win there, it might put the election off at least 2 years to 2028. That's all I'm looking for. I want to see the whole thing turned over. But right now, in the immediate few next weeks, the main thing we can do is put this off till 2028 and then let the courts wrestle with it. I don't know how you can overcome with the Supreme Court decision that they had in Calais, but the effects of Calais is racist in implementation. It hurts the black vote. It takes away the black presidential representation. It takes the South to make it solid Republican and solid MAGA. And that's something that hadn't happened since before this Voting Rights Act was passed.
Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you for being with us tonight.
Elise, you remember me when I was a kid almost?
Of course. I grew up seeing you on television.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.